I think my dad's interest in the golf and mine is going to be slightly different. At least I hope so. Something that I don't really talk about a lot on this channel is how big my family is into golf. And I don't mean that in the way of, oh, my dad has like 7 figures in his bank account and spends all of his time at the golf club with his buddies. He kind of does. He spends every Saturday morning going to the local golf club and like having a couple of rounds with his friends. It's so much intense that I was born on a Saturday and it was a competition weekend. I think it was like the captain's prize or the president's prize, and my dad had to miss it so that he could, become a father. But this weekend is the Masters tournament. It is the 11th of April. This is the start of the day. It's not going to be like a huge, big action day, but people are going to go out and they're going to throw a ball around. And I'm going to read a book about golf, Smut. I've seen Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey kind of floating around a lot. I know that Brie and Brittany read it together on Sprints a couple of weeks ago, but they did that at like nighttime, my time. I think they started at 12 or 1 a.m. for me, so I was asleep. But I'm going to give it a try now. And it comes with the caveat. I've never really had a great time with Tessa Bailey. I've only had one success of the books of hers that I've read. I'm not a huge fan of the way that she does dirty talk. I'm not a huge fan of some of the situations that her characters have been in. But I know about golf. I know things about golf. I know golf terminology. So I'm interested to see if this particular sports romance is going to work out for me because I'm slightly familiar with the situation. It's a reason probably why hockey romances haven't really been my thing. I've enjoyed the story of them. I have enjoyed the romance of some of them, but I don't really get the nitty gritty of playing hockey. I don't really understand the scoring situation. I don't really understand the positions. So I'm a little bit out of the loop when it comes to a hockey romance, but for golf, I should be pretty okay. But I'm wondering how we're going to make golf sexy. This is my little pear friend. Let me show you what he does. He's adorable. So, push it to the right a little bit and he starts to light up. And then, if you push it to the left, he will blink twice. And it's like a little tiny night light. And it dims like every 5 seconds or so. And it'll stay on for about 30 minutes. I am obsessed with him. Anyway, I'm going to try and predict the winner of the Masters as well. I can't do it now because this is only Thursday morning. It's middle of the night Thursday in the US anyway. So, when everything starts off, when the singles games are over today, I'm going to come back tomorrow morning. I'm going to see what the form was like, and I'm going to try and predict the winner. I'm going to give 3 names, and I'm going to see if one of them was actually the winner at the end of the weekend. I will admit that it kind of feels like I'm cheating. How and ever. I did take a look at some of the highlight reel from yesterday's Masters Day 1. It was delayed because there was really bad rain in Augusta, so it was delayed by a couple of hours, and I was out yesterday. I was actually out at a comedy gig with a couple of friends of mine, but I took a look at the highlight reel. So I have a bit of an idea as to who's playing really well, who's having a bit of a nightmare day, and who's kind of lagging around in the middle. And from this, I have made 3 fairly solid predictions as to who I think is going to win the green jacket on Sunday night. First up is Bryson DeChambeau. At present, he is the leader of day 1. I haven't looked at any of the footage for day 2, and that is only just about to start, or has just started in the last 20 minutes. I haven't looked at any of the footage yet. I'm kind of thinking that if he has a really good day, he might be kept up in like the top 5. Speaking of the top five, I'm also going to put Scotty Scheffler in as a possible May win. He had a pretty good day yesterday, and he has also had a really good form in the last couple of months. I've been watching kind of very quietly what's been happening in the pre-seasons, and he's been doing pretty well. But I'm also going to put in last year's winner, John Ram. He's a Spanish golfer, and I'm also going to put him in as a kind of a outsider for back-to-back jackets. He wasn't anywhere near the top five yesterday, but I'm putting him in as it could happen if he has a really good day today. As for the book itself, I did listen to some of it yesterday while I was working, while I was doing some stuff around the house before I left, and I also listened to some more of it this morning. I am intrigued and I am invested. There hasn't been a whole lot of spice in there up to now. I've just gotten to the point where Joe is having a bath in Wells's hotel room as they have just gotten to, I think it's either the PGA or the US Open, and they've just gotten to the hotel where she has been asked to be his caddy because her parents' pro golf shop has basically been destroyed by a flood. So she needs the money to build the shop back up because her insurance ran out. She didn't renew the insurance cover last year when everything went out. I also really like that the main character here, Josephine, is a type 1 diabetic. It's not a chronic illness that I have seen quite a lot of in romance fiction, and I think it's definitely something that needs to be represented a little bit more. I know that Ali Hazelwood has got a main character as well who's also type 1 diabetic. I think it was in Love on the Brain, but it could have been in her most recent book, the name of which I completely cannot remember, the one with the pink cover. I've got a couple of people in my life who are either type 1 or type 2 diabetic, including my own grandfather, who was type 2 diabetic for much of his life before he passed away. And it's so interesting to see this representation happen, because I am a little bit out on the side when it comes to my knowledge of diabetes. I don't particularly know a whole lot about how to manage it and what the symptoms are and how struggling it can be. So it's really good to have an actual representation of that in books, and I really, really hope that that is something that we see a lot more of. But now I'm really worried. Because what if she goes into a hypo while she's out on the golf course and there's nothing that she can do about it? What if something happens and she has low blood sugar and they can't get her a dairy milk or something? I hope she's going to be okay. I'm making lunch. While I do so, let me tell you how I'm feeling about this Tessa Bailey book. If you were wondering, hey, has Tessa Bailey's paternity talk improved since the days of Fix Her Up or since the days of Too Hot to Handle? I'm really sorry to tell you, no, it has not. Still the same kind of cringe, still the same kind of, I can't believe I'm listening to this happening. There are some choice phrases that don't particularly come to my mind right now, but that I know are genuinely way too much for me to go back to. There's not a whole lot of chemistry between Wells and Josephine either. It's basically just, we see each other, we fuck, Wells goes to play golf, she carries around his bags, and that isn't necessarily something that I'm interested in. I really like my characters to have a little bit of chemistry together, and I really like to actually believe in their relationship, but I think the fact that she was such a heavy fangirl for him before they had actually gotten together is hampering how much I am enjoying watching their relationship blossom, because it will always feel like there's a really weird power imbalance between Wells and Josephine in that he is huge celebrity. He has thousands upon thousands of dollars, and she is basically only being his caddy right now because she genuinely needs the financial help. I'm not super in love with this book, which is not particularly surprising because it's a Tessa Bailey book. And because I knew when I went into it, I'm not going to have the best time. It's kind of this thing that you can just turn your brain off. You don't really need to think about it. And you're going to have an experience with this book. So that's how it's going with the fake golf. But with the real golf, I'm actually delighted to tell you that there are 3 people tied for the lead at the moment. And 2 of those 3 are people that I have put on my list. 2 of those 3 are Scotty Scheffler and Bryson DeChambeau. So I feel pretty vindicated again. I feel like I know where the weekend is going to go, and I am very intrigued to see what's going to happen by the end of the day. I have got a couple of plans later on this evening, so I won't particularly be watching live. I'll be keeping an eye on it while I'm out, and I will definitely be watching everything that happens tomorrow afternoon. And let's see if I've actually managed to A, find a book that I can tolerate, and B, find who's going to win the Masters this year. And yes, I will show you what it is that I'm planning to make for dinner, but it involves some pre-cooked chicken with some like sweet chili dressing, tomatoes and cucumbers. That is a bowl of salad leaves, and that over here is a pan full of rice that I have flavored with some kind of Cajun spices and a little bit of salt and a little bit of tomato puree. It is my now go-to lunch. It is now Monday morning. My little pear friend is still with us. The book is done and the Masters tournament is done. I was correct with one of my predictions. Bryson DeChambeau actually fell to, I think, 5th place overall in the leaderboard, but the winner for the second time was Scotty Scheffler. I think he had a 4 or 5 stroke lead by the end of it. And actually, my brother had messaged me before the final round even started, and that was who he had predicted to win as well. So I think we all kind of knew by the end of it that Scotty Scheffler was going to get a second Masters. As for the book, I finished it yesterday afternoon while I was playing The Sims, kind of like a nearby thing. I had a couple of moments with this book. The first one is that it all takes place within about 2 weeks. And it's incredibly insta-lovey for that kind of time frame. There is so much that happens between they first meet each other, she becomes his caddy, and he goes to the Masters. And then their relationship just happens. So much happens within that tiny little 2-week gap. I think for the development of their relationship, and also for a couple of other things, it just would have made more sense to have a little bit of a time jump, to have maybe like a 3-month time jump. They had still been on the course, they had still been on the PGA Tour, but we just didn't see some of the things that were happening. It just would have strengthened their relationship a little bit more, made it a little bit more believable for me. Another thing that I didn't really love is they kind of infantilized Josephine's diabetes. For a woman who said, I don't want to be defined by having diabetes, I don't want this to be made the only thing about me, she kind of made it the only thing about her. She kind of made it so prevalent to everybody else. And I almost wish there had just been a moment, yes, I am diabetic, but that does not define who I am. That is not the only thing about me. I also do this, and I also have this. It was just made such a big thing for somebody who said, I don't want it to be made the only thing about me. Another thing that annoyed me is there was so little time that passed between the hurricane that destroyed Josephine's pro shop and it basically becoming like brand new again. I think, again, it was only like 2 or 3 weeks. When I genuinely think that whatever contractor she's going to hire, a pro shop in the middle of Florida is not going to be a huge priority. There's going to be hospitals, there's going to be schools, there's going to be other types of really important infrastructure that are going to need to be put back together before we get to a pro golf shop. I honestly think this is where Tessa Bailey and I need to say goodbye. And I genuinely mean that this time. Because I have said before, okay, I'm not going to try a Tessa Bailey book again. I'm not going to give it a go again. I think I just wanted to give this one a final chance because I'm so into golf, because it was a sport that I knew, because it's a sport that I am actually genuinely interested in. I wanted to see if it was something that she could make accessible and relatable to me, a golf fan, but also accessible and relatable to other people who might not be as engrossed in the world of golf as I am. It would have been great to see other times of them on the course. They would have been like other moments that I would have really liked to have seen between the two of them. But I think overall, it was a fairly decent representation of what golf is like. We've read a book, we've watched the Masters. I think we can call this vlog somewhat of a success. If you'd love to leave me a comment, but you cannot think of anything you would like to say, then obviously leave me one of the golf emojis. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.